ومن والاه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. First of all, I just wanted to say Jazakallahu khair to everyone who came, mashallah, all of the brothers and sisters, mashallah, who are joining us for this program. May Allah reward you guys. May Allah SWT put it in your book of good deeds, inshallah. Tonight, we have a program, inshallah, that will cover how to go about memorizing the Quran for both adults and for children, inshallah ta'ala. So before we get started, inshallah, we're going to have a recitation of the Quran by one of our own Hufaz, Hafiz Umar Alwi, who mashallah led Taraweeh with us this past Ramadan, inshallah. So if everyone could please, inshallah, give him your undivided attention, we will start, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. ويدعو الإنسان بالشر دعاءه بالخير وكان الإنسان عجولا. وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا. وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا. اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. من اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فإنما يضل عليها ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى وما كنا معذبين حتى نبعث رسولا. وإذا أردنا أن نهلك قرية أمرنا متر فيها ففسقوا فيها فحق عليها القول فدمرناها تدميرا. وكم أهلكنا من القرون من بعد نوح وكفى بربك بذنوب عباده خبيرا بصيرا. من كان يريد العاجلة عجلنا له فيها ما نشاء لمن نريد ثم جعلنا له جهنم يصلاها مذموما مدحورا ومن أراد الآخرة وسعى لها سعيها وهو مؤمن فأولئك كان سعيهم مشكورا كلا نمد هؤلاء وهؤلاء من عطاء ربك وما كان عطاء ربك محظورا صدق الله العظيم.
Takbir. Jazakallah khair, Hafiz Umar. Can I get everyone, inshallah, to please do dua for Hafiz Umar? He is, mashallah, competing in the national competition, the Imam Shatibi competition. It's a national Quran competition. And alhamdulillah, they have several rounds. He's in the final round. He's going to be going to Minnesota, inshallah, in July, inshallah. So let's do dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him success. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make him successful in all his endeavors. Jazakallah khair. So before we get started into how to memorize the Quran, let's ask ourselves why we should memorize the Quran. I want to ask all of you to imagine a scenario with me that you come on the Day of Judgment, and the Day of Judgment, as we all know, is a terrifying day. It's a horrific day. Everyone is scared. Everyone is trying to find a good deed that they can even borrow from one of their relatives. And everyone is just waiting for their own account. Like Hafiz Umar recited, it will be said on that day, Iqra kitabak, recite your book, meaning your book of deeds. But imagine on that day, you hear a voice, and that voice says, Iqra. And that voice is talking to you. And that voice says it again, Iqra, read. But that voice is not a voice that is scary or terrifying. It's actually a beautiful voice. And that voice continues and says, Iqra, read, wartaqi, and rise, and go higher and higher, and elevate. Warattil kama kunta turattilu fid dunya, and recite in the same way that you used to recite in the world. Because you are now chosen to get one of the greatest rewards that any human being can get, and that is Allah allows the person who dedicated their life to the Quran, the person who wanted to memorize the Quran, the sahib of the Quran, it will be told to that person, read and recite and go higher in Jannah, and your last place, the last status, rank, level that you get to achieve in Jannah is the last ayah that you recite. Anyone know how many ayahs in the Quran? Any guesses? Very good. 6,200 some ayat, some verses. That's how many darajat and levels that person goes higher and higher in Jannah. The person who reads the Quran, memorizes the Quran, and tries to act upon what is in the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ said, his parents will be given a crown on the Day of Judgment brighter than the sun. Then what do you think of the person who actually memorized the book, who acted upon the book? I asked this question to you guys before. I'm going to ask you again. Raise your hands if you want your children to become Hafiz of the Quran. Raise your hand if you want your children to become Sahib al-Quran. Now, I'm going to ask this question. Don't you think your parents would have wanted that for you? Wouldn't have your parents wanted that my daughter and my son also be someone who memorizes the Quran? Well, I have good news for you. And that is, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. The Prophet ﷺ said that all of the actions that we do are based off of our, what? Intentions. So One of the coolest things about our deen is that you can have amazing intentions and follow it up with a little bit of action. Even if you don't complete that task, Allah gives you the reward as if you completed it. So one of the main reasons that we memorize the Quran is to become Sahibul Quran and to become of those people who Allah on the Day of Judgment tells them, recite and go higher and higher in Jannah. Of course, there are so many other benefits to memorizing the Quran. One of the other benefits that I didn't mention is that the Quran will come as an intercessor for the one who read it. On the day of Judgment, the Quran will vouch for that person who memorized it, who read it, who doesn't want the Quran as an intercessor, whose intercession is always accepted, right? So here we have two different paths. We have the path for children to memorize the Quran, and we have the path for adults to memorize the Quran. By the way, these slides are going to be shared with you, so you don't have to take pictures with them. And the whole lecture is going to be live streamed on YouTube, and it'll be available on the Masjid Aqsa website, inshallah. So don't worry about recording or anything. If you want to, it's fine. For children to memorize the Quran, it's actually very, very simple. Children need a structured classroom setting in order to memorize the Quran. There's no other way of going about it. You cannot tell a child, here's the Quran, memorize it on your own. It's almost impossible. I taught Quran for almost 20 years now. I've never met a child who said, I memorized the Quran on my own. Never happened. I doubt it will ever happen. Adults, that is very likely, because as adults, we have responsibilities, we have jobs, we have to take care of our homes, we have to take care of our children. So as an adult, you might be in a situation where you now have to take responsibility for your own memorization of the Quran, and we'll get to that. So first off, let's cover children, kids. How can we ensure that our children memorize the Quran, right? So the first thing is, when it comes to children memorizing the Quran, one thing we don't want to do is beat the Quran into our children. We don't want to beat the Quran into our children, because if we punish the Quran into our children, when I was in madrasa and I was memorizing, there were kids in our madrasa and who were doing hifz and who had already completed. And several of them were friends. And some of them, while they were memorizing, they were punished mercilessly. Like, they were beat by their teacher, they were beat by their parents, just so they could memorize the Quran. And I can name so many of them who forget memorizing or revising the Quran. They stopped coming to the masjid altogether. As adults, they said they don't want to have anything to do with the Quran. So many of them. So what would we accomplish by forcing our child to memorize the Quran, by punishing them, by hitting them, by beating them? Nothing, except creating resentment in their hearts for the deen and for Quran. So if I was to say, what is the number one most important thing when it comes to children learning the Quran? I would say, make sure it's a loving environment. Make sure that you're embedding the love of the Quran into that child. When it comes to a child entering into a classroom, what are you and me looking for? We're looking for a classroom that has a loving environment, a teacher that has wisdom, that has forbearance. Tajweed, makharij, these things are definitely important. But more importantly, if a teacher is really good with children, loves children, I would pick that teacher 10 times out of 10. That is what you want to aim for. When it comes to memorizing in a class, now you can either take the part-time route, you can take the full-time route. There's so many different ways, so many classes to put your children in. But one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to start comparing your child with other children. Like, did you see this one? I'll just say Timmy. Let's say Timmy. right? Timmy, mashallah, has already memorized 15 juz and he's 6 years old. Why aren't you like Timmy? That is not what you want to do, right? You don't want to keep comparing your child to other children because that lowers their self-esteem. It doesn't help them in any way. You want to compare your child to your own child. You want to tell them, look, this is how much you memorized last week. Let's try to beat that, inshallah. Try to beat your own goal. That's the best way to motivate. Now, when it comes to children, there is also a lot of parents nowadays, they take the online way. So I have parents telling me, oh, I have a teacher that they go to one-on-one, and this teacher is from Egypt, or this teacher is from Pakistan. If you don't have any other choice, let's say your child is going full-time public school. Raise your hand if your child is going full-time public school. Full-time? Okay, good. If your child is in a full-time public school setting, 90% of Muslim kids are. Now, you still have other options, and I would suggest face-to-face, much better than online. If you can do a part-time 2 hours a day face-to-face, way better than online. If you can do 1 hour a day face-to-face, still way better than online. Online should be our last resort when it comes to what? Which group of people am I talking about? Everyone asleep? Kids, okay. When it comes to kids, you want to have online as the last resort. By the way, alhamdulillah, in this masjid, we're going to be starting a part-time hifz course soon. Sheikh Rafa'at from Masjid, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully will be teaching that class. That's going to be starting in August. That is going to be part-time hifz. It is dedicated, focused, concentrated memorization of the Quran for those kids who can't go full-time, okay? That's going to be starting in August, inshallah ta'ala. Keep your eyes out for that. Now, when it comes to online, raise your hand if your kids are doing some type of Quran online. A lot of parents do that, which, okay, if you have to take that route, bismillah. What I want all of you to do is if your child is memorizing the Quran online, please, for the love of Allah, don't put them in their room alone. Don't leave them with any device in their room alone, especially if your child is talking to someone, an adult, that could be overseas. There have been so many horror stories, I don't want to mention them, but just trust me. If your child is doing class online, you want to have your child sitting in an area which is central in the house. A living room, maybe a dining room, and it should be in such a way where the laptop, the computer, the phone, the tablet is visible to anyone who is walking in that area, and the volume should always be up as well. This is something that we actually experienced. My daughter was doing class with a sheikh online, which I know you're thinking, like, how does that make any sense? The Quran teacher is making his children learn from another Quran teacher. My kids never learned from me. We tried, right? You could try as much as possible, but your kids will always be like, you don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, you want to have the child sitting in a central location. Now, how should the child be sitting? That also affects their ability to memorize. If they're sitting and they have to hunch over to look at the Quran, that actually inhibits their memorization. You should have the Quran in such a way, the Mus'haf in such a way where they don't have to look down and put their heads down like this. It should be elevated or at an angle. The Mus'haf should be at an angle. Then the people around should always know, okay, this is time for memorization. We have to be very quiet. وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. That when the Quran is recited, we're supposed to be very quiet and we're supposed to listen. If you can't listen, but at least there should be some reverence, some respect given that this is Quran time. No one can make noise during this time. And if you want to go an extra level up, imagine, and I mentioned this before, imagine if your child sits to do Quran and you also sit with them. Imagine if your child sits to do Quran and mom sits with them. Says, okay, I'm going to sit, even if it's for 15 minutes, even if it's for 30 minutes, imagine the impact it's going to have on that child. Do you think they're going to be more motivated or less motivated? More motivated. They're going to be extremely motivated. Imagine if you started saying, let's have a competition. Let's say, who can memorize one page first? We have to do these types of things because of where we live. Okay. Before I go to the next slide, I want very quickly the kids on both sides to make groups with each other. Make groups with each other. You can make a group of, let's say, 5 or 6 kids. And adults, I would say the same thing to you guys. If you can make a group with maybe 5 or 6 adults, I'll give you guys 2 minutes. 2 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. Make a group of 5 to 6 people. We're going to have our first competition, inshallah. 5 to 6 people in each group. The only way you get to compete is if you're in a group. No. Got it. I'm sorry? No, you're good. Alhamdulillah, perfect. We got prizes for all competitors who win. So we got prizes for winners. Sorry, no prizes for losers. No, I'm just joking. I'll give you some stickers. If you have young children, we will be giving out CANDY after Isha, but only for the young kids. If you know what I just said, then I'm sorry, you can't get it. I saw some kids' eyes go, what? CANDY? All right, time's up. First challenge. Now here's the rules, guys. If you don't hear the rules, you won't be competing. Let me tell you the rules. Okay, there's still sisters who have not decided teams. Sisters, right now it's best to just sit down wherever you are and that's your team. Bismillah. All right. Here are the rules. All right, kids on the left, you guys won't hear the game, you won't hear the rules, you won't be able to play. I'm going to count down from 5. Once I count down, whoever is quiet will be able to play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. The rules are, I'm going to flash an image. The image will have a series of words on it. You have to memorize all of the words, and whichever team memorizes all of the words first, raise their hands, okay? The team has to raise their hands. So the first team to raise their hands will get to answer the question. Hafiz Umar, inshallah ta'ala, is going to be watching which team raises their hands first. Okay, you can help me. All right, ready? I'm going to flash the image. No, you can't use your phones. Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali. Oh my God, we're in a masjid, guys. If you're going to cheat here, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. May Allah protect us, okay? You cannot take any screenshots. You cannot take any pictures of it. I'm going to flash the screen, and then after that, I'm going to switch the slide. When I switch the slide, then you can raise your hands. When I switch the slide, you can raise your hand. Ready? Memorize the words. Memorize the words. All right. Ready? You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me see who's... Oh, adults in the back, raise their hands first. Okay, here's the thing, adults in the back. Brother Ali, your role, raise their hands first. You have to tell me... Okay, everyone who's talking here, let me tell them, guys. All right. You have to tell me what words were written on the left-hand side. You have to tell me what words were written on the left-hand side. There was a column. What words do we have? Shh. Sisters. K-pop Demon Hunters. I Show Speed. Fortnite. PS5. Mr. Beast. Takbir. I'm scared why you know that. Okay. Just to check, do we have any kids who can read the ones on the right? Oh, right there in the back. In the back. Yes. Kids, yes? 401k. What do we have? Oh, no, you don't know it? Huh? Mortgage. 401k, mortgage, CNN, Wall Street, and one more. Root canal, takbir. Okay, so what was the point of that? When you're familiar with what you're memorizing, it's easier to memorize it, right? So the more Quran you read, the easier it will be to memorize that Quran. Be familiar with the words of the Quran. Okay. Before he destroys anything. All right. Now, when it comes to memorization, how much should our children memorize? Okay? Memorizing new lesson should be done on a daily basis. Memorizing, like anything, it's a skill, it's a muscle. If you do it continuously over time, you'll get better at it. So when it comes to memorizing new lesson, there is a rule that I would go by whenever I was teaching memorization, is that you have to memorize every day. Memorize new lesson, not revision. So if, let's say, for example, you have decided, or your child has decided that she's going to memorize 4 lines every day. That is Monday to Sunday. They don't take any days off memorizing. If you skip days, your memorization will become weaker. You can't skip days when it comes to memorization. This is for kids, by the way. We're still talking about kids. For kids, you also have to have a written plan. It should be documented. If your kid is in a Hifz program and the teacher doesn't write what they're reciting, that is a recipe for disaster. Okay? You have to have stuff documented. Otherwise, the kids, they will try to play the system. They will say, oh yeah, I read that already. That was my stuff yesterday and it hasn't even been done yet. Okay? So make sure, inshallah ta'ala, whatever lesson they have, it's consistent. I had a friend, when I was memorizing the Quran, he started his Hifz at the same time as me. And we both started, I was 17, he was 18. We both started after high school. We graduated high school, we did Hifz together. He had a simple strategy. I'm going to memorize 1 page every day. He memorized 1 page every day, but he did it Monday to Sunday. He never took a day off ever in his, what we used to call sabak, his new memorization lesson. I was able to memorize much more than him. Some days I would memorize 2 pages. Some days I would memorize 3 pages. But then I also took days off. Some days I would say, I'm going to just play basketball all day today. And I wouldn't memorize anything. But I would think in my mind, but I memorized 3 pages sometimes, way more than him. He ended up finishing his Hifz a whole year before me. He finished his whole Hifz in like a year and some months, by the way. I mean, mashallah, he was so consistent that he never missed a day of sabak. That's the difference between someone being consistent versus someone just trying to do a lot all at once. It's just like working out. If you work out consistently over a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll see results versus someone who says, I'm going to work out 6 hours today. There's not going to be any results. When it comes to children, you have to have positive reinforcement. But that positive reinforcement cannot look like a bribe. It shouldn't be, please, for God's sake, memorize this, and then I'll get you, like, you know, the biggest thing that they have at Walmart. Like, I'll buy you whatever you want. That is not going to lead to success. You want the child to feel like their effort is being rewarded, but they should also feel like, okay, if I accomplish a certain level or a certain goal, then my reward should be according to that. And alhamdulillah, we're able to, by the will of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mercy on us, 2 of our children finished their Hifz, and what we used to do is we would let them have get-togethers with their friends, like a party where we would call over all of their friends and they would get to play with their friends in some type of, you know, fun event or some type of fun activity. Those types of rewards are far better than buying them toys. buying them toys, honestly, they might even say that they want it, but they will play with the toy for how long? A day, if you're lucky. A couple of hours and you'll find that toy on the ground, even if it's like super expensive. But experiences, they actually create memories and last longer. So I would suggest that. Having a reward system. When you finish 1 juz, you get this reward. When you finish 5 juz, you get this reward. That goes a long way, especially for children. They need positive reinforcement. One of the things that helped our children memorize, it helped me memorize when I was memorizing. Did you also do memory, like meaning when you were memorizing? A little bit. If your child is memorizing the Quran, every now and then, ask them, do you want to know what this means? Do you want to know what you're reading? Do you want to know what Allah is telling you right now? And if they say, yes, we want to know, tell me what is it saying? Then at that point, tell them the meaning. If they hear the meaning, it will make it easier for them to memorize. There are 2 resources that are really good for this. One is the Clear Quran for Kids. The Clear Quran by Dr. Mustafa Khattab is a really excellent translation, but he also has a kids version, and I would highly suggest that. Another resource is, if you want to tell your kids the stories of the prophets, there's a book by Learning Roots. Learning Roots has a lot of really good books for children, but they have one on stories of the prophets in the Quran. So I would also suggest that. And that brings us to our challenge number 2. Challenge number 2 is going to be something else that you have to memorize. Ready? This time, I'm only going to give you 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Let's do 10 seconds. It has to get a little bit harder. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I need raise of hands from all the team members. We just have one person raising hands. We need all the team members. All right, here we go. We got. No, they raise their hands first. Sisters, y'all are not. Nobody's raising their hands from the sisters. Brother Anas, your team. Hold on. I need an answer from Brother Anas. If not, I'm gonna give it to the sisters. Hold on, guys. I can't hear him. Shh. Okay, give me an answer. That is incorrect. Sisters, your turn. Sister in the back. Hold on. I can't hear her, guys. Yes. 67? No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. Let me give it to those brothers right there. Yes, those brothers right there. Yes, Brother Hashim, go ahead. MashaAllah, takbir. All right. Now let me show you something, guys. Let me show you something. This is another thing that you need to understand when it comes to memorizing things. This is a long number, right? No, this is actually many small numbers put together. Pi is 314. 1776, the year when what happened? Anyone know? Declaration of Independence. What's after that? 911. And God knows the kids know what's after that. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Moving on, we're going to talk about adults now. If anyone has any questions about their children memorizing the Quran, we're going to have a question answer session, inshallah ta'ala, towards the end of the class. If not, after Isha, you're free to ask as many questions as you like, inshallah ta'ala, about your children memorizing the Quran. But right now, I want to get on the adults a little bit, inshallah. First off, as adults, we have to understand it is not too late for you to memorize the Quran. Many of the companions memorized the Quran when they were 40, 50 years old. When I was memorizing the Quran, here in Houston at Madrasa Islamiyah, we had an adults Quran class after Fajr. After Fajr, we had 50-year-old, 60-year-old brothers who would come. They would sit with the Qari and they would recite and they would memorize and then they would go to work every day. And they memorized and they finished their memorization. This is not a one-off. If you don't believe me, just Google it or ChatGPT now. There are contemporary, recent reports of 80-year-old sisters memorizing the Quran at the age of 80 years old. It is not impossible. Sometimes shaitan makes us think, there's no way that I can do it. Allah is telling you can do it. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Allah is telling you that without a doubt, Allah has made the Quran easy to remember. So who is the one who is going to try to remember it? By the way, I'm so sorry. Who was the first person that answered the question? The first challenge? Brother, can you give it to him? Can you give it to him? This is for your whole team, okay, Brother Ali? It's not just you. And someone pass it to Brother Hashim? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, come. This is for Zakaria, is for your dad, all right? You're gonna have to ask him for some. Okay, so when it comes to adults, the first hurdle, the first obstacle that we have to get over is our own ego. This idea that, oh, I'm too old to memorize the Quran. You're not too old. You just have to try. You just have to put in effort. For children, the timeline for memorizing the Quran is anywhere from 2 years to 5 years. I remember I had a friend who was memorizing the Quran part-time while he was in high school. He finished memorizing the Quran in 5 years. When he graduated high school, he finished his memorization as well. He was doing it part-time. For adults, the timeline looks a little bit different, okay? If you're somebody who is in their 40s, 50s, and you start memorizing the Quran right now, if you're putting maybe 30 minutes into it, an hour into it, you're looking at possibly 10 years. But let me ask you a question. That 10 years, is it going to pass anyway? That 15, 20 years, is it going to pass anyway? If Allah gives you that life, you're still going to go through those 15 years. Imagine after those 10, 15 years, you're finishing the memorization of your Quran. And the most beautiful part of this, if you don't even finish it, what did I tell you? If you don't even finish it, when Allah raises you on the Day of Judgment, Allah will raise you among the Huffaz. May Allah raise all of us among the Huffaz on the Day of Judgment. Say Ameen. This is for the person who actively puts effort into memorizing the Quran. How much time do we waste on so many other things? On watching the news, got brothers, mashallah, 8 hours World Cup, mashallah. I salute you, man. But at the end of the day, every one of us can take at least 30 minutes a day. Raise your hand if you can give at least 30 minutes a day to memorizing the Quran. It's not that much. We can do it right after Fajr Salah, right after other Salahs. Okay. Now, how do we work about this? What's the first step? The first step when it comes to memorizing the Quran or reciting the Quran for that matter is to work on our makharij. Makharij means the pronunciation of the letters. So are you saying the letter dhal correctly or are you saying za for every time? In Arabic, there's a difference between dhal and za. So for this specific science, just the science of makharij, this is something you have to sit with someone, a teacher, and that person, you have to recite to them to fix the way that you pronounce the letters. This is actually very critical. Why? Someone tell me why. Very good. The meaning. If we are reciting the letters incorrectly, can we change the meaning? Yes. Very easily. The meaning can change very easily. So the first thing we have to work on is the makharij, right? Now, if a person finishes working on their makharij, and they're able to say Alhamdulillah. By the way, makharij you can work on gradually as well. You can work on it. We have a class here, an adults tajweed class, every Monday between Maghrib and Isha. We've been had this class for now a year and a half, right? If you are struggling with your makharij and the teacher says, go ahead and start memorizing, that's because the teacher knows that inshallah ta'ala you will fix it over time. The next step is going to be working on the tajweed rules. Tajweed rules are rules of recitation that have been documented from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to now, right? That the Sahaba, they have transmitted it to us. This is how the Quran should be recited. So for example, when we say Surah Kawthar, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar, the first word is supposed to be stretched 2 counts. Inna a'tayna, inna. Now, if a person doesn't know, if a person doesn't have the knowledge that it's supposed to be stretched, inna, can that person still memorize the Quran? Yes. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, and that is very few people have perfect tajweed before they start memorizing. Almost always, a person is learning tajweed as they memorize the Quran. When we were memorizing the Quran in our class, our teacher would correct us on our tajweed, and as we memorized more and more ajza, we learned more and more tajweed. And tajweed, by the way, is a very deep science. There is a book I would highly recommend. It's called Tajweed Rules by Karima Carol Serpinski. Karima Carol Serpinski. Subhanallah. This sister reverted to Islam. She then memorized the whole Quran. She then went to the foremost authority in tajweed, one of the experts of tajweed and one of the people who has the shortest sanad, the shortest chain to the Prophet ﷺ, Professor Dr. Ayman Suwaid. She went to him, she got her ijazah from him, then she wrote these books on tajweed. How amazing is our deen? And her books, by the way, when I was teaching with Dr. Ma'an al-Quda in HQA with Dr. Hamid, those were the books that we used to teach tajweed to the students. We use her books. So those books are an excellent resource. There are 3 volumes, by the way, in those books. The first volume, if you go through it, I think that's enough, honestly. For most of us, that's enough tajweed. The other volumes, much more advanced tajweed, which if a person is trying to get their ijazah, their certification, they would do them. Otherwise, they don't have to worry. Okay, now, what do I memorize first? So many different options. In our Monday class, there are some brothers that are memorizing Surah Kahf. There are some brothers that are memorizing Surah Yasin. There are some brothers, they want to memorize Juz Amma, so they're memorizing from the 30th, Surah Fajr, other surahs that they like to memorize. As adults, I would say, just start memorizing. Whatever surah you're most interested in, memorize it. If you like Surah Rahman, memorize that surah first. If you like Surah Waqi'ah, Surah Mulk, memorize those surahs first. If you want to memorize smaller surahs, like me, maybe you're someone who wants a win every now and then. Yeah, yes, I finished the surah, alhamdulillah, now I can eat a burger. So you give yourself those smaller goals, and every time you finish a surah, treat yourself to something that you might not have otherwise, right? Ice cream, for example. Next, challenge. Challenge number 3. Get ready. Memorize all of the shapes in order. You're gonna check the sisters? I'm gonna check over here. Ready? Time. Oh, we got a hand over here first. Before any of the brothers, we have sisters over here in this group right here. But first, I need the brothers to quiet so that I can hear the sisters answer. Right there, right? Okay, I'm gonna give y'all 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Jazakallah khair. Sisters, what were the shapes? Let me check. What are the shapes? Correct? Correct? If they don't get it, brother's going to get a chance. Rhombus, then what's after that? Rectangle. Too many sisters are answering this. That's correct. Takbir. Qasim, can you give this to... Give this... Qasim, take it. This is for the whole group, okay? Very good. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Okay. For adults, one of the challenges... Yes, inshallah. Okay. For adults, one of the challenges is... You guys tell me, when you start a new habit, or when you start something that you really want to do, what's the hardest thing for you guys as adults? Consistency. Very good. So there is a book that I would highly suggest all of us read. It's called Atomic Habits. Okay? If you read it, mashallah. But one thing that that book mentions is that when you want to start a new habit, when you want to add a new habit to your schedule, okay, can we get these guys? When you want to add something beneficial to your schedule, look at a habit that you already have in your life and add that new thing to an existing habit. In Atomic Habits, this is called habit stacking. So for a habit that you want to add, like for example, memorizing the Quran, what is a habit, a routine all of us share? What is something we all do every day? Pray. Very good. So one of the easiest ways to add memorization of the Quran to your daily schedule, pick a salah. Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Everyone's schedule is different. For sisters who are, for example, taking care of kids, your schedule is different. For brothers who are working, your schedule is different. Pick a salah where after that salah, you can dedicate 15, 20, 30 minutes of your time. And every day during that time, you block everything out. And that is going to be memorization time. You're going to memorize your new lesson during that time, okay? For brothers, I would highly suggest after Fajr or after Maghrib. These are actually blessed times. These are times where there's more barakah, right? For sisters, honestly, I would mention anytime the kids are asleep, right? Or anytime, inshallah ta'ala, that you can work out in your schedule. But here's the thing. You want to make sure that after you have finished that time, you stop memorizing. If you committed to doing 15 minutes a day and you hit the 15-minute mark, don't say, oh, I'm just going to do 5 more minutes today or 10 more minutes. No, stop at 15 minutes. Be consistent on those 15 minutes. And then if after a month you want to increase it after a month. Let it become part of your routine, okay? How do adults revise what they've already memorized? This is a question I get often. For adults, Oh, that's a good one. Yes, you also need to sleep on it. Okay? Jazakallah khair. Sleeping on it always helps. If you memorize something, sleep on it, it will help. Another way to revise what you have memorized, read it in your salah. So if you memorize, for example, 3 or 4 lines, I want you every single salah, Fajr to Isha, all the sunnah, all the nawafil, read those 4 lines. Some brothers, they say, what if I mess up? What if I make a mistake? First of all, it doesn't invalidate your salah if you make a mistake in the recitation. Second of all, just go into ruku'. If you don't know what comes next, just go into ruku'. After you finish the salah, just look at what was the mistake. And then do it again in the next salah. Do it again in the next salah. Keep doing it until those 4 lines are perfect. For sisters especially, and also for brothers, I would say use listening as a heavy resource. Listen to what you're trying to memorize. For brothers, how many of you commute to work? Subhanallah. So many of us, right? If you have a long commute, dedicate some time in that commute to just listening to what you have already memorized. Your revision. By the way, I forgot to mention, revision should always take priority over new memorization. If a child is spending 2 hours at their hifz class, at least 60% of that, 50, yeah, good luck. 50 to 60% of that should be on revision, if not more. And for adults, the same thing. If you're spending 15, 20, 30 minutes memorizing new lesson, you need to spend at least 30 minutes or an hour revising. And again, listen, listen, listen. These are a list of just some shuyukh that I mentioned. When people are saying, who do I listen to? These are people who recite the Quran very slowly. They recite the Quran very slowly and with tajweed. Their tajweed is impeccable. So these are people who I would recommend to listen to. You don't have to listen to them. You can listen to other reciters as well. I personally like to listen to a lot of different people. But if I'm teaching someone, the first person I'm going to say is Sheikh Khalid Husari because of his tajweed. Now, some tips for memorization for adults. Don't use your phone. Don't use your phone. Why? Someone tell me why. You're sitting and memorizing. Bing! What happens? Oh gosh, Trump just said this. You will be distracted immediately. Don't use your phone while memorizing the Quran. If, let's say, you're in the masjid and you have to use your phone because you can't find a mushaf for some reason, you don't see the massive shelves of mushafs, then that's fine, because in the masjid it's less distracting. But at home, you're going to say, oh, I'm at home, I'll take a break from memorizing. That break now becomes an hour-long break and your memorization time is gone, okay? Make sure, inshallah ta'ala, that you try, and this is something that I've always seen people benefit from. Use the same Quran, the same mushaf to memorize. This is for your kids and for adults. Use the same mushaf. The mushaf that has pages which are ripped, that's the binding is coming off of it, there are markings all over it, it's old, it's tattered. That is the mushaf of a companion of the Quran. That is the type of mushaf which is going to testify for you on the Day of Judgment. You want a mushaf where you're marking your mistakes in it, you're like carrying it where you go. Okay. Another thing, and this is really, really important, you should have once a week where you recite to a teacher who knows tajweed and makharij. Now this person, if you can't access an actual teacher, then this person should at least be someone who is proficient, who knows tajweed and makharij. It could be a sister, it could be an uncle, an aunt, it could be a friend, but at least the person knows the bare minimum of tajweed and makharij if you can't access a teacher. But the best would be if you can actually recite to a teacher. Okay, how do you go about memorizing an ayah of the Quran? There is a memorization tool which is called chunking. This is, if you look it up, it's actually part of science, that we as human beings, we memorize things better when they're in small pieces. So when you memorize your social security number or your phone number, you don't memorize it as 10 digits, you split it up into 3 digits, right? 3, 4, 6, 4, 7, 9, 5, 2, 6, 9, right? Not my social security number, guys. So the same is with the Quran. If you have an ayah of the Quran, challenge 4 coming up. Okay. If you have an ayah of the Quran, you want to split the ayah into multiple pieces. Multiple pieces. You want to make it bite size. Okay? All right. Challenge number 4, inshallah. And this is the last challenge. All right. Ready, guys? Memorize it. Icelandic. No cheating, okay? All right. What was it? What was it? But you guys already won one. I can't give you two in a row. All right. Who has not answered yet? Have you guys answered yet? I saw them first. I saw them first. Okay. Sisters, you're going to get a chance if they get it wrong. You're going to get a chance if they get it wrong. All right. Hold on. Okay. What is the phrase? By the way, this is Icelandic. The language is Icelandic. Okay? What is the phrase? Shh. If you get it right, you win. He's doing dua so hard. What is it? Helin, pin, flugri, yes, yes, and poo, yes. Last word. Last word. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. So close. Say it again. Heldur. That's it. Takbir. MashaAllah. I couldn't do it to him. That was too close. Here you go. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. That's Icelandic, guys. It means your brain is more powerful than you think. Okay. Last thing, inshallah ta'ala. How should we go about memorizing a line of Quran? I'm going to go a little bit quickly, inshallah ta'ala, because we want to do question answer. Okay? First thing is that you want to split it into pieces. So if you're memorizing, memorize a line at a time. One line or half a line, or you can split it up into 4 parts. One line of the mushaf. You choose whichever mushaf you like. Split it into, how many parts did I say? 4 parts. First, you're going to memorize that first part. Now, how you memorize it, you want to look at it the least that you can look at it. If you can look at it once and then memorize it, look at it once. Don't look at it again. Right after you looked at it once, cover it with your hand. Force your brain to recall what it just saw. The more you look at the Quran to memorize, the more your brain uses that as a crutch and becomes dependent on it. The less you look, the stronger your brain becomes. The less you look, the stronger your brain becomes. You look at it once, okay, I couldn't get it the first time. You look at it again, you read it again. Then you cover it, you memorize. You go on to the second part. I said 4 parts, right? You memorize the first part, then you memorize the second part. Now you're going to say the first part and the second part together. You're going to go on to the third part. You're going to look at it once or twice, memorize it. Now you're going to say the first, second, third part together. You're going to do the fourth part, same thing, cover it. Now you're covering the whole line. First, second, third, fourth part, you're going to try to read it together. You go on to the second line, do exactly the same thing. After you've memorized the second line, I want you to try to say the first line without looking. It's going to be hard. You might mess up. Force yourself to say as much as you can. If you have to look at it briefly, cover it again, and then keep going. Keep trying to memorize like that. Now, the way you're going to do it is you're going to memorize, if you're trying to memorize a page of the Quran, you're going to memorize a quarter of the page the way that I just said. 1 line, then 1 line plus 2, so 2 lines, then 3, then 4 lines. Once you get to a quarter of the page and you have memorized a quarter of the page, stop. You're going to start from the 5th line as if it's the first line. So the first quarter, you're not going to look at it again. You're going to memorize the second quarter of the page completely separately. Once you're done memorizing the second quarter, now you're going to read the first quarter of the page by looking, and the second quarter of the page by looking, and immediately you're going to cover it. You're going to try to see if I can say the first quarter and the second quarter together. The whole idea is you want to look as less as what? as possible. Another way that actually one of my friends, he taught me how to do this. If you talk through the ayah, I know this sounds weird, but if you say something like, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. I know that sounds weird, right? This actually helps memorization. Then after you've memorized the words, then you recite it. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. But while you're memorizing it, talk through it. And you can even change the tone of your voice to help your brain remember. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. I know, again, sounds weird, but trust me when I tell you, when I started doing this specific thing, when I started talking out the Quran, I was able to memorize a page in 15 minutes. And it would be good. The page would be good. It's a weird tactic, but I'm sharing it with you because it works, okay? I think that is it. Last one, inshallah ta'ala. For adults, another thing that helps. For adults, another thing that helps. Read the translation and find a buddy. Find a partner who you can memorize the Quran with. Your spouse, your friend in the masjid, even your child. You and your child can memorize together, right? Have a partner. It will help in your accountability and it will help in your setting goals. If you do it by yourself, it's much harder, okay? And the last thing, inshallah ta'ala, you and I need Allah and Allah's help more than anything. And the same goes for memorizing the book of Allah. No one can memorize the book of Allah unless Allah allows them. Unless Allah makes it possible for them. So every night, let the last thing that you do be reciting the Quran and asking Allah, Ya Allah, please make me from the Huffaz. Make me from those who you open their hearts to the Quran and who you change their whole being because of the Quran. If we establish a relationship with the Quran by starting to memorize it, reading the translation, it will definitely change a person's life. There's no doubt in that, inshallah. With that, inshallah ta'ala, we conclude. Now, inshallah ta'ala, if anyone has questions, I'll take the questions now, one from the brothers, one from the sisters. Brothers, questions? Yes. Yes. Very good. The question was, if kids are memorizing the Quran, what is the golden rule for how much they should be memorizing on a daily basis? When it comes to how much a child should be memorizing, you want to keep it that it's based off of time, right? So if the child has a short attention, let's say, for example, they're a very small child, 6, 7 years old, you want to go based off of age, okay? At that young age, the child doesn't have a big attention span. So you want to tell that child, whatever you finish memorizing in 15, 20 minutes, you're done, right? Then when the child gets older, 10 years old, 11 years old, you can increase that time to maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. A healthy amount for a child who is doing full-time hifz, full-time, I'm talking 6 to 8 hours of memorization a day, a healthy amount, 1 page a day. If you memorize 1 page a day, how much are you going to get done in a month? 30 pages, right? And if 20 pages is 1 juz, how much did you just finish in that month? 1.5 juz. If you did that, just 1 page a day, every month if you finish 1.5 juz, where are my accountants? How long before you memorize the Quran? How many? 3.5 years? No. Where are the accountant? Come on, we're supposed to be the best at math. Yes. 20, no. How many years, guys? The question was, if a person memorizes 1 page a day, which equals 1.5 juz every month, how many months before they finish their Quran memorized? Yes. 30 months? Close. A little less than 30. It's not 45. Come on, la hawla wa la quwwata. All right, an adult. You got it? Tell me. 15? No. Sisters. Say? It's gonna be 20 months. I can't believe I had to say that. Okay, all right, guys, sit. Someone tell me, now this question, inshallah ta'ala, everyone should know. How many years is 20 months? A year and 8 months. Alhamdulillah, right? It's the American system, right? MashaAllah. Fahrenheit. Anyway, if you just did 1 page a day, your child would become hafiz in 1 year and 8 months. Okay? So I would say stick to doing 1 page a day if the child is going full time. If the child is doing part time, half page a day. And don't increase that amount just like this. Wait for like 3 months, 4 months before increasing the amount they're doing every day. Good question. Sisters, question? We have about 1 minute before we have to do adhan. Oh, yes. Okay, so there is something that I wanted to share with you guys. There's a lot of people that come to me and say, brother, I want to memorize the Quran, but I'm an adult. I have a busy life. I want to sit in your class that you have. I have a class that I teach for adults every Monday between Maghrib and Isha. A lot of people are not able to sit in that class. Sisters are trying to find a way to memorize the Quran. So, alhamdulillah, we came up with an idea. This is something that I've been working on for a while. And this is, inshallah ta'ala, soon, is going to be coming soon, but it's going to be an app that's going to allow people who are adults, they have busy schedules, to learn and memorize the Quran, to work on improving their pronunciation, learning tajweed, memorizing the Quran, working on their tone of recitation. And the way that that's going to work is you will be assessed, you will be given a plan, and then you will send recordings of you reciting what the teacher has told you to recite, and you will send those recordings. The teacher will then send you a feedback recording multiple times a week, and it will be based off of your level, and you will be given personalized tajweed lessons in those feedback recordings. So if someone is interested in doing something like this, I have a QR code that you can scan and sign up for. Inshallah ta'ala, once the app comes out, then I will send it to the people who signed up, inshallah ta'ala. So this QR code is for the wait list for that app, inshallah ta'ala. The app is going to be called Tajweed Bites, inshallah. All right, inshallah, jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward everyone who came. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from you guys. We will have candy for the kids, inshallah ta'ala, after Isha. And I will give these slides to everyone on the Masjid WhatsApp group. Jazakallah khair. The candy, after Isha,